Mga classmate, alam niyo ba, may maganda akong balita.
Maririnig at makikita na natin si teacher.
Talaga? Ano?
Tuwing alas 3 hanggang alas 4 ng hapon sa
103.1 Brigada News FM Naga at Radyo Aralan sa Naga Season 2!
Bilis! Tara na! Ngayon na!
Alas 10 na! Oras na sa Radyo Aralan sa Naga Season 2! Tara na!
Hirap ka ba sa pag-aaral? Ngayong nasa bagong normal, tila baga walang matakbuhan sa iyong mga katanungan. Pag-aalala ay maiibsan, narito na ang kasagutan. Programa sa radyo, iyong pakinggan para sa dagdag karunungan.
Naga Pride is going live in 5, 4, 3.
Radyo Aralan sa Naga, handang tulungan ka. Radyo Aralan sa Naga, sagot sa asignatura. Radyo Aralan sa Naga, tara makinig ka na. Radyo Aralan sa Naga, handa na sa pagsimula. Kahit saan, pilit aabutin, gamit itong tinig namin. Online ka man o modular din, walang hadlang kung gugustuhin.
Hello everyone, this is Teacher Cherry. Our lesson for today is
Radyo Aralan sa Naga, handang tulungan ka. Radyo Aralan sa Naga, sagot sa asignatura. Radyo Aralan sa Naga, tara makinig ka na. Radyo Aralan sa Naga, handa na sa pagsimula. Radyo Aralan sa Naga, tara makinig ka na. Radyo Aralan sa Naga, handog ng DepEd Naga.
Naga! Yo, marhay na daw! Naga!
hirap ka ba sa iyong module? Wala kang gadget o di kaya'y mahina ang internet? Tara na! Sabay-sabay tayong makinig, mag-aral at matuto dito sa Radyo Aralan sa Naga Season 2. Hatid sa inyo ng Department of Education, Naga City Division at Brigada 103.1 News FM Naga City, the Music and News Authority. Makakasama ang inyong mga radio teachers sa isang mabisang talakayan ng mga lesson episodes na tiyak na inyong magugustuhan. Lunes hanggang Biyernes, alas 3 hanggang alas 4 ng hapon dito sa Radyo Aralan sa Naga Season 2. Sulong, edukalidad.
Sa Radyo Aralan sa Naga,
Tiyak, matututo ka.
Kalaman mo'y hitik at liglig, tuwina!
Himpilan ng karunungan, masiglang pagkatuto.
May makabuluhang pagkatuto.
Module mo, sagot na!
Pag-aaral ay masaya.
Pasaporte sa pagkatuto, makukuha.
Ang inyong hapon magiging kaaya-aya. may makabuluhang pagkatuto.
Masayang talakayan, iyong matutunghayan.
Sa hapong ito, magiging magaling kayo. Siguradong sasaya kayo sa araw na ito.
Radyo Aralan sa Naga, handang tulungan ka. Radyo Aralan sa Naga, sagot sa asignatura. Radyo Aralan sa Naga, tama, makinig ka na. Radyo Aralan sa Naga, handa na sa pagsimula. Kahit saan.
More than 1 year after the pandemic started, students across the Philippines are still experiencing its unpleasant effects as most classrooms are either online or modular. Furthermore, many parents have been forced to take on the role of IT technician, teacher, and babysitter as children remain stuck at home. To ease the burden of our parents while ensuring that learning never stops, the Department of Education, through the Schools Division of Naga City and its partnership with its stakeholders, initiated this informative program, Radyo Aralan sa Naga Season 2, to ensure a quality, accessible, relevant, and liberating basic education for all. Good afternoon, Naga. Today is Thursday, January 13, 2022. How was your day so far? I hope you're having a great start to the new year. I am Sir Josemari from Julian B. Militon Elementary School, your radio host for today's episode. We are live on 103.1 Brigada News FM. You can also watch this episode via Facebook Live in the official Facebook pages of 103.1 Brigada News FM and Radyo Aralan sa Naga Season 2 Elementary. At this point, I want to acknowledge our listeners and viewers, especially the grade 6 students and their parents. May today's episode provide you with another opportunity to study and discover new things. Let me remind you to sit comfortably and listen attentively near the radio or any gadget which you can use to stream this program. Please make sure you have with you your notebook or paper, ball pen, and your modules or learner's packet so that you can write down some important concepts from the lessons today. I can already feel your excitement to learn new things today. Our first lesson is related to English 6. At the end of the lesson, you are expected to compare and contrast content of materials viewed from other sources of information such as print, online, and broadcast. This will be followed by another lesson, this time in Technology and Livelihood Education, or TLE 6. At the end of the lesson, you should be able to explain the different ways of food preservation like drying, salting, freezing, and processing. On that note, may I introduce to you the able and skilled radio teachers from Julian B. Militon Elementary School for today. For English 6, you will be listening to Ma'am MYRIAN OROPESA. For TLE 6, you will be listening to Ma'am VERNNA or SINOGBA. At this point, ready yourselves for the first video lesson. Good luck and enjoy learning.
Hi kids! How are you? I hope everyone is doing great. Welcome to our English class. I am Teacher MYRIAN OROPESA, your English teacher this afternoon. Are you ready to learn a new lesson? I'm sure today, another fun and exciting learning awaits you as this module brings you to another new and fascinating ride of non-stop learning. But before we start your exciting trip, please be guided with your learning target. This module focuses on this objective: to compare and contrast contents of print, online, and broadcast materials. Do you have with you your English Learners packets or modules, Quarter 2, Week 7? Are you ready with your pen and paper? Oops! Don't forget to write your name, grade, and section. Before we start with our new lesson this afternoon, let us first have a review. In your previous discussion, you studied about the element in print, and in non-print, and in digital materials, which is the character. What do we mean by characters? Characters are the actors in the story. An author may choose to reveal the characters in two ways. These are direct characterization and indirect characterization. Now, let us try to answer this activity. You have to listen carefully. Identify the characterization revealed in each item. Choose the letter of the correct answer. Are you ready? Great, let's start. Number 1. Jake is Cassie's older brother. One day, they are walking home from school when a cold front rolls in and the temperature drops 20 degrees. Jake is dressed more appropriately for the weather than Cassie. He takes off his hooded sweatshirt and offers it to her. She gratefully accepts it. Jake is now colder, but he is happier. What kind of attitude did Jake possess? Letter A, loving. Letter B, rude. Or letter C, greedy. What do you think is the perfect answer? Good one! The answer is letter A, loving. And for number 2, Leo is a grade 6 pupil who spends long hours playing with his toy cars. The boy already has 300 toy cars in his collection. He puts them in all sorts of formations on the ground, on his bed, and on the dining table. He is very happy every time he plays with his treasures. How old is Leo? Is it letter A, 5 to 6 years old? Letter B, 10 to 12 years old? Or letter C, 18 to 20 years old? Nice answer! It is letter B, between 10 to 12 years old. Based from your responses, I can say that you are now ready to learn our new lesson. To start with, turn your learner's packets or your modules to page 1. What can you see on the pictures? What are the kids doing? Very good. Some of them are reading books and newspapers, and some of them are using a computer and watching a television. Now, what do you think is the reason why these kids read books and newspapers and watch television or use computer? I commend you for your quick thinking. They might want to be entertained and be informed. I know most of you, my dear students, get information for your assignments and other related activities in school by reading books and by using computers. Do you know that there are different sources of information? Generally, there are 3 kinds of sources of information. We have the print, online, and broadcast. It is important to understand these kinds to know what type is appropriate for your homework and projects prior to searching for information. Come on and let's read all together. Number 1, print. They consist of all written or printed materials. They convey planned course information. Examples of these resources are printed versions of textbooks, workbooks, magazines, newspaper, brochures, and poster. Number 2 is online. They are learning resources that are made available online or any resource available on the internet in an online educational environment. It might be audio or video lessons, interactive exercises or exams or documents, providing links to other websites. Common examples of online sources are ebooks, emails or electronic mails, social media, vlog or blog, online television websites such as ANC or CNN, and forums. The third one is the broadcast. They are learning resources that are transmitted through radio and television. The term broadcast media covers a wide range of different communication methods that include podcast, advertising, online streaming, digital journalism, television, radio, and other materials supplied by the media and press. But always remember, we must be wise and vigilant in dealing with the information we read or see from the internet. Be careful with the authorship, credibility, and authenticity of the information because some sources may contain unverified information. And how can we say if the information is good and true? So here are the characteristics of good information. Can you read with me? Number 1, accuracy. It means correct. It is reliable, free from flaws, and with high quality. How about number 2? It is completeness. It must provide all the needed information and must answer the WH questions. How about for number 3? Timeliness. Information should be up to date. Number 4 is consistency. It is the state of reaching a level that does not differ greatly in quality over time. Information should be unchanging. Next is relevance. Information should suit the demands, needs, and interests of the readers. And for the last number, we have uniqueness. Information must be distinct to be useful. It can easily be adapted if it is visually pleasing. Through these characteristics, we can now identify which information is good. Is there a need to compare all the resources? That's right. Yes. But why? We need to compare resources to verify information given from one source to another, to recall information given using other sources, and to support information from one source to another. With the use of various sources of information, you may compare and contrast information viewed from print, online, and broadcast. The skills in comparing and contrasting is necessary in enriching your knowledge in finding reliable and credible sources of information. But what do we mean by compare and contrast? Compare and contrast is the text structure or pattern of organization where the similarities and differences of two or more things are explored. Compare refers to the process of identifying the similarities between two people or things, while contrast refers to the process of assessing their differences. And we use the Venn diagram in comparing and contrasting information. Here is an example of a Venn diagram. In this diagram, the solid and liquid are the two things being compared. As you can see, the outer circles are used to show their differences. It states that the solid has definite shape, does not take the shape of the container, while the liquid doesn't have definite shape and takes the shape of the container. And the overlapping circles are used for comparing. Cited here are the similarities. It shows that both solid and liquid take up space, made up of molecules, and have definite size. Now get the pen and paper and let's answer practice task 1. This will deepen more of your understanding and knowledge of our topic today. Read and understand the sentences and identify whether the material used in each situation is print, online, or broadcast. Are you ready? Number 1. Deza wants to watch news about COVID-19 updates on the television. What is the answer in number 1? Amazing! It is broadcast. Number 2. Mrs. Obing used the chart which she bought from the local bookstore to explain water cycle to her pupil during home visitation. What is the correct answer in number 2? Brilliant! It is print. Jericho tours around Naga City using the interactive map installed on his cellular phone. What do you think is the answer? That's nice. It is online. How about number 4? Athena watches available videos in the web about a lesson in science to accomplish the learning activity sheet given by her teacher. What is the answer in number 4? You are on the right track now. Online is the correct answer. And for the last number, my grandfather loves to read newspapers every morning. What is the correct answer? Great! It is print. So how are you doing so far? Are you having fun or hard time? Don't hesitate to ask from your elder siblings or parents if you have some clarifications. Now turn your learner's packets to page 5. Read the paragraph taken from the online web pages. Find the similarities and the differences of the presented information using a Venn diagram. Write your answers on your answer sheet. You will be given 5 minutes to answer. Let us read the paragraph. Are you ready? A nest and a house serve as shelter to living creatures. Birds make their nest just like humans make their houses. Houses are bigger than nests. Both use trees. A house has a roof while nests have none. Both can shelter more than one inhabitant. Humans make lumber from trees. Birds use twigs and branches. Wow! You all read well. Oops! Time is up. Let us check your work. We now identify their differences. Let us start with the nest. Nest is smaller compared to house, has no roof, and uses twigs and branches. And how about the house? The house is bigger than nest, has roof, and uses lumber from trees. How about the similarities? Both shelter more than one inhabitant and use trees. Marvelous! You all got the correct answers. I hope you are now equipped with the needed learnings. Let's sum it up. just to make sure if you really understand our discussion this afternoon. Again, what are the three kinds of sources of information? Awesome! The three kinds of sources of information are print, online, and broadcast. What are the 6 characteristics of a good information? That's it. We have accuracy, completeness, timeliness, consistency, relevance, and uniqueness. Is there a need to compare and contrast resources? Very good. We need to compare and contrast resources to verify, recall, and support information from one source to another. How about what kind of diagram we use to compare and contrast two things? Nice answer. We use the Venn diagram. I know all of you are now ready to answer all the final tasks. For the following activities, your teacher will be the one to check your work. Best of luck, my dear pupils. For your final task number 1, write the letter of the correct answer on your answer sheet. Number 1. Which term refers to the origin from which something is obtained? A. Compare. B. Contrast. C. Source. Or letter D. Keyword. Number 2. Which option correctly defines compare and contrast? A. Comparing deals with differences while contrasting deals with similarities. Letter B. Comparing deals with similarities while contrasting deals with differences. Letter C. Comparing and contrasting both deal with similarities. Or is it letter D, comparing and contrasting both deal with differences? Number 3. Which source of information covers a wide range of distinctive communication strategies and implies to send out or transmit data or pictures by means of radio or television? A. Print. B. Online. C. Broadcast. Or D. Journal. Number 4. Which of the following set of words are examples of print source? A. Posters, magazines, and reference books. B. Journals, vlogs, radio. C. Brochures, web pages, podcasts. D. Television, workbooks, newspapers. Which of the following is not true about sources of information? Letter A. We compare and contrast sources to verify information given from one source to another. Letter B. Completeness of information, accuracy, and relevance are characteristics of good information. Letter C. To get information for assignments or other school activities, you can use different sources. Or letter D. The skills in comparing and contrasting are not necessary in enriching your knowledge and finding reliable sources of information. For your final task 2, read the printed article about natural hair shampoo and its benefits from www.slideshare.net and recall a famous shampoo TV advertisement or visit the YouTube link on your Learner's Packets page 6 to watch the video. Compare and contrast the two sources of information using a Venn diagram. Time is up. Your teacher will be the one to evaluate your answers for final tasks 1 and 2. I know you will have the best and correct answers for these activities. Break a leg, kids! And for your reinforcer, kindly think of two things that you want to compare and contrast using the Venn diagram. Write your answer on a clean sheet of paper. Congratulations! We are done with all the lesson and activities in this module. I am so proud and happy to seeing you learn and accomplish all the tasks with so much fun and ease. But if you wish to read and go back to the discussion today, that would be perfect. Always keep in mind, kids, that every day is a chance to learn. Thank you for spending your time with me today. Again, I am Teacher MYRIAN OROPESA, your radio teacher this afternoon. Until the next lesson episode here on School on the Air, Radyo Aralan sa Naga, Radyo na, Season 2!
Thank you so much, Ma'am MYRIAN, for an entertaining discussion about comparison and contrast of materials viewed from other sources. So our grade 6 listeners and viewers, did you learn something from our radio teacher? Very good. There are 3 different sources of information. Printed sources consist of all written and printed materials like textbooks, workbooks, and reference materials. Online sources are learning materials that are made available online or any resource available on the internet in an online educational environment like ebooks, emails, and online newspapers. Broadcasted sources are learning resources that are transmitted through radio and television like podcasts and video lessons. We also need to learn the skill in comparing and contrasting the different sources of information so we can verify, recall, and support the information from one source to another. At this point, I hope you are still tuning in because the next radio teacher, Ma'am Vern, will be giving you an exciting lesson in TLE 6 about the different ways of food preservation. Again, listen attentively and enjoy learning.
Hello students, listen to me. Let us study TLE, the subject that brings out the best in everybody, and it includes you and me. Agriculture, ICT, industrial arts, HE. All these components will help you to get ready so you could reach your goals and dreams. Let us study TLE. Let us study, come with me. All of the knowledge and all of the skills will help you to be life ready. Will help you to be life ready.
Good day, my dear grade 6 learners! Welcome to our technology and livelihood education journey. I am Teacher Love, your TLE teacher for today. Are you excited for another set of learning experiences? That's good to hear!
But before we move on to our lesson for today, let us recall our previous topic last week. Can you tell me what is it all about? Great! We talk about market, finished, household linen, in varied and creative ways. So how was your experience? It's fun, right kids? You learned on how to prepare creative packages using local resources. You also experienced making your own brand, labels, and even how to compute the cost, sales, and gains. Isn't it amazing? All of these activities are very useful. It prepares you for future endeavors. Most especially this pandemic, that you really need to think of ways for an additional income, right kids? So, join me once again as we discover, explore, and learn new skills. We are now on Quarter 2, Home Economics, Module 6, Lesson 1. And at the end of our discussion, you will be able to explain the different ways of food preservation. These are the words you are going to encounter as we go through with our lesson. So keep in mind, spoilage means unfit to eat. Consumption, using up of resources. Preservative agent, added to food to prevent spoilage. Method, manner of doing something. Process, transforms raw ingredients into other food products. With today's availability and sustained supply of food in the market, we usually take for granted the process and the methods on how these preserved foods are being done. During the old days, drying and salting were the common ways to preserve food. But through innovations and scientific studies, we learn more ways of food preservation, and some even transform it to a multi-million business. Families and even the food industry had been very particular on how the food is being stored and prepared for future use. In times of crisis and where there is inadequate supply of food, or sometimes you want to enjoy seasonal foods throughout the year, or wants to generate additional income for the family. Food preservation is the key to solve our problems. So what is food preservation? Food preservation is the process of preparing food for future consumption by preventing its spoilage. Spoiled foods become unfit to eat, alters the taste, freshness, and nutritive value. What comes to your mind when you see a lot of rotten mangoes or vegetables? It only shows that they are wasted and not properly managed. Maybe they could not consume or cannot sell everything and have no idea on what to do. Maybe you're asking why food does not last. All foods can grow bacteria and it makes the food spoils. To save your food from spoiling and going to waste, you have to preserve the food. It destroys the bacteria or even slow down their growth. Do you know how the food is preserved? Keep learning, kids! We have different methods of food preservation. One of these is drying. The oldest, simplest, and natural way of preserving food. It removes the water or moisture content in the food. An example of this is the dried fish like tuyo. Salting. Salt is the preservative agent in this method. This is effective in keeping away bacteria. Best example of this is itlog na pula or itlog na maalat. Smoking. Food is exposed to the action of a smoke, produced by a wood bark or sawdust. It adds flavor to the food. Famous example of this is tinapa. Sugaring. This method makes use of sugar as its preservative agent. This is also the favorite of all, and an example of this is fruit jams, and commonly used as spread. Pickling. The process of preserving fruits or vegetables by soaking it in vinegar and placed tightly in a container. Us Filipinos would love to eat this with barbecue. An example of this is the achara. Freezing. Placing food in a freezing compartment. The food must reach a temperature of 0 degrees Celsius. The more rapid the freezing, the better the result. Fresh fruits, vegetables, or seafoods are done with this method to keep its freshness. Canning or bottling. Process of preserving food by heating and then sealing it in an airtight container. An example of this is sardines, corned beef, or fruit juices. Vacuum sealing. The process of removing the inside air of the container or plastic with the food before sealing. Hot dog, sausages, or pancit canton are example of this method. And the last method of food preservation is the pasteurization process, where fresh foods are heated briefly to high temperature to kill off bacteria, then cooled rapidly. An example of this are yogurt, cheese, or fresh milk. Do you now understand the different method of food preservation? Do you think you can now apply what you learned? Well, let's check it out in the succeeding activities. Let's play Add One Out. Have you tried this game? It's so easy, kids. I will just say a set of preserved foods, and you will just write on your paper the name of the food preserved that does not belong to the group. How will you do it? Try to think what method of preservation is used for each food and find out which is different. Let's try this one. Molido, tinapa, coco jam, and langka jam. Which food is out of the group? If you say tinapa, and you're very good. Why? Because molido, coco jam, and langka jam used sugaring as their method of preservation, while tinapa used smoking. That is why it is out in the group. Do you get it, kids? Nice! So let's play. First set of foods are tuyo, fresh milk, cheese, and yogurt. If your answer is tuyo, you got it correct! Second set. Hot dog, sardines, ham, and pancit canton. You made it if your answer is sardines. Sardines used canning, while ham, hot dog, and pancit canton are all vacuum sealing. Here's another set for you, kids. Bagoong, dinailan, molido, and itlog na pula. If you go for molido, good job, kids! Bagoong, dinailan, and itlog na pula belongs to salting method of preservation, while molido is sugaring method of preservation. We are now on the fourth set. This is very easy, kids. Dried mangoes, strawberry jam, ubi jam, body, or dried fish? Which one will you pick out? Bravo, kids! If your answer is body or dried fish. Why? It is because dried mangoes, strawberry jam, and ube jam are all sugaring method of preservation, while dried fish or body is drying method. And for the last set, fresh fish, vegetables, cheese, and seafoods. If you write down cheese, very good! Because cheese belongs to pasteurization method of preservation, while fresh fish, vegetables, and seafoods goes with freezing method of preservation. How did you find the activity? That's true. It's so easy, right, kids? Give yourself a big hand. And for those that did not make it, no worries. You can still go back to our discussion, read it, and do it again until you make it perfect. Do you still want more? Okay, let's go. Activity number 2. This is what you're going to do. I will say a name of a preserved food and kindly write down the method of food preservation used. Are you ready? Okay, let's begin. What method of food preservation is used for a hot dog? Did you just write down vacuum sealing? If you did, wow, you're correct! Next is bagoong. If your answer is salting, exactly right! Here is another one for you. Atsara. What do you think is the answer? You're exceptional if your answer is pickling. Fourth item is fruit jam. What food preservation is used for this product? If your answer is sugaring, you're marvelous. Way to go, kids! And last item is tinapa. Can you still follow? Keep working on it. You're doing great. So if you write down smoking, then superb! I'm so happy and proud of the way you worked today. That's really remarkable. Remember, food preservation is the process of preparing food for future consumption by preventing its spoilage. There are different methods of food preservation. Drying, the oldest, simplest, and natural method of preserving food. Example, dried fish like tuyo or badi. Salting. Salt is the preservative agent in this method. Best examples are bagoong or balaw, dinailan, or itlog na pula. Smoking. Food is exposed to the action of a smoke produced by wood bark or sawdust. Example, tinapa. Sugaring. This method makes use of sugar as its preservative agent. Example, fruit jams. Pickling, process of preserving fruits or vegetables by soaking it in vinegar and placed tightly in a container. Example, achara. Freezing, placing food in a freezing compartment with a 0 degrees Celsius temperature. Fresh fruits, vegetables, and seafoods are done with this method to keep its freshness. Canning or bottling, process of preserving food by heating and then sealing it in an airtight container. Example of this method are sardines, corned beef, or fruit juices. Vacuum sealing, process of removing the air inside of the container or plastic with the food before sealing. Examples, hot dog, sausages, or instant noodles. Pasteurization, process where fresh foods are heated briefly to high temperature to kill off bacteria, then cooled rapidly. Examples, yogurt, cheese, or fresh milks. Do you wish to go farther? Of course you do. Here's something that you have to do. Choose one method of food preservation that interests you and present one recipe for it. Here is an example of what you will do so you are guided. I have here an example for each part. So keep your ears on me. Part 1. Name of preserved food, sweetened jackfruit. Part 2. Method of preservation, sugaring. Part 3. Ingredients. I need ripe jackfruit, sugar, vanilla, and water. And Part 4. Procedure. I have 6 steps. Number 1. Wash jackfruit, pitted, and drain well. Number 2. Bring to a boil the sugar and water. Number 3. Add jackfruit for 7 minutes until thickened. Number 4. Remove from heat and allow to slightly cool. Number 5. Transfer to clean jar with a tight-fitting lid. And number 6. Refrigerate for future use. That's it! It's a piece of cake, right, kids? Come on! I know you can do it. Kindly submit your work on your scheduled date. I guess you've done so much today. I hope you enjoyed, discovered, and learned a lot today.
Once again, this is Teacher Love of Julian B. Militon Elementary School saying, when you combine hard work, creativity, and self-determination, things just start to happen. This is not a goodbye. Just see you next time still here at 103.1 Brigada News FM Naga at Radyo Aralan sa Naga Season 2.
Thank you so much, Ma'am Vern, for a very clear discussion about the different ways of food preservation. Can you still recall the things that Ma'am Vern discussed a while ago? Well done! Always remember that there are different ways of food preservation for future consumption and to avoid spoilage. These include drying, salting, smoking, sugaring, pickling, freezing, canning or bottling, vacuum sealing, and pasteurization. If you still want to clarify some concepts which were discussed by our 2 radio teachers, you can read them in a discussion found in your module or learner's packet in English and TLE 6. You can also answer the activities and don't forget to submit your output to your advisor. I hope that the lessons today guided you on how to answer the activities correctly. In the midst of distance learning, the Division of Naga City never stops to do its mandate of providing quality education to all our students in the basic education. Through this program, we ensure our parents that learning never stops while making sure that our health and safety are never compromised. At this point, I would like to give recognition and credit to all the people and institutions who made this educational program, Radyo Aralan sa Naga Season 2, possible. First, to our Proactive Schools Division Superintendent, Sir Mariano B. De Guzman, CESO 6. To our Encouraging Assistant Schools Division Superintendent, Dr. Cecil C. Ferro, CESO 6. To our Supportive OIC CID Chief, Dr. Annalisa F. Abulok. To our Credible SGOD Chief, Dr. Renato L. Gavino. I would also like to acknowledge all the committed education program supervisors, especially to Ma'am Ruby C. Bausas, OIC EPS 1 in English, and Dr. Herman Bobbies, EPS 1 in TLE and TVL. So our responsive public schools district supervisor for District 6, Dr. Mary Ann A. Papica. So our goal-oriented Division RBI Coordinator for Elementary, Sir Jarme D. Tumotorgo. So our visionary school head of Julian B. Militon Elementary School, Sir Neil Romano S. Manaog. Also a big shout out to 103.1 Brigada News FM, especially to station manager Ma'am Kim Riolo and to their technical department head, Sir Arvin De Los Santos. I would also like to acknowledge the GBMES RBI team headed by its enthusiastic RBI coordinator, Ma'am VERNNA R. SINOGBA, into the purpose-driven Division RBI lead team composed of Sir Joseph Avila, Ma'am Cheryl Marbella, Ma'am Josemari Padayaw, Ma'am Angeline De La Fuente, Ma'am VERNNA SINOGBA, and Ma'am Marilyn Tusok. Continue tuning in to Radyo Aralan sa Naga Season 2 for more lesson episodes only here on 103.1 Brigada News FM every 3 to 4 p.m. from Monday to Friday. Once again, this is your radio host for today, Sir Josemari of Julian B. Militon Elementary School. Goodbye and stay safe.
Inyong napakinggan ang mga learning episodes. Natutuwa kami na kayo ay nakasama sa talakayan ng tampok na mga aralin sa araw na ito. Hangad namin ang inyong pagkatuto. Hanggang sa muli, sa ganitong oras dito sa Radyo Aralan sa Naga Season 2.
Ka ba sa pag-aaral? Ngayong nasa bagong normal, tila baga walang matakbuhan sa iyong mga katanungan. Pag-aalala ay maiigsan, narito na ang kasagutan. Programa sa radyo, iyong pakinggan para sa dagdag karunungan.
Naga Pride is going live in 5, 4, 3.
Radyo Aralan sa Naga, tara makinig ka na. Radyo Aralan sa Naga, handa na sa pagsimula. Radyo Aralan sa Naga, tara makinig ka na. Radyo Aralan sa Naga, handog ng DepEd Naga.
Naga! Josemari daw! Naga!
napakinggan ang mga learning episodes. Natutuwa kami na kayo ay nakasama sa talakayan ng tampok na mga aralin sa araw na ito. Hangad namin ang inyong pagkatuto. Hanggang sa muli, sa ganitong oras dito sa Radyo Aralan sa Naga Season 2.